Alright guys, throughout the whole story, Oda has been trying to tell us how Kid is more powerful than Law. We just did not listen. Let me explain. When we first get introduced to them in Sabaody Archipelago, Law is portrayed as strong, but not equal to Luffy level, due to his low bounty and lacking crew. On the other hand, Kid was shown as a real threat, having the highest bounty of the 11 supernovas, as well as having his very own supernova crewmate in Killua. Fast forward to the time skip. They both got into fights. Although they both lost their fights, the level of their opponents are completely different. Firstly, we have Kid losing to Shanks, and then we have Law who lost to Doflamingo. They're both decently strong, but Shanks is just much stronger than Dofi. Once again, Oda portraying Kid as the stronger of the two. Now, in Punk Hazard, where Law was pretty much begging for an alliance, while also being an underling to Doflamingo's underling, who he had lost to in the past. Kid, on the other hand, was getting alliances begged from him by Hawkins and Appu, even if Appu had ulterior motives. Killua was the one who was dragging Kid into that alliance. Now, in Dressrosa, Law's plan fails miserably and gets destroyed by Doflamingo yet again. He then gets bailed out by Luffy going Gear 4 Bounce Man and beating Dofi. In Whole Cake Island, we find out that Kid had raided Big Mom and stolen who rode Poneglyph, and beating one of her sweet commanders. It has not been specified which one, although beating any of them is impressive on its own and much better than anything Law has done up to this point. Kid then gets slimed out by Appu, which leads to him getting jumped by Kaido and getting thrown in Udon Prison in Wano. Notice how Kid only loses to Yonko, first Shanks, now Kaido. In Wano, right off the bat, we see Law losing to Basil Hawkins, and he gets thrown in another prison. Not Udon, though. Meanwhile, in Udon, we see Luffy and Kid portrayed as rivals and equals. We know that they're probably not equals, but Oda portrays them as equals, competing in many petty tasks like lifting bricks to get some dumplings. Once they get to the rooftop, Kid and Law are portrayed as pretty close in the same power level. What am I saying? And again, in the fight against Big Mom, where they awaken their double fruits. When they leave Wano, they both lose their 1v1s to Yonko, and their stories end there. Although I do believe Kid is going to come back near the end of Elbaf, since we know he is either dead or on Elbaf. And I don't think he's dead. One more thing I want to add is Kid's devil fruit attracts metal. So if they end up in a 1v1 scenario, Law would be at a heavy disadvantage due to Kid pulling away his sword. Obviously, I'm not saying Kid beats every swordsman, because we found out that due to that strong enough Haki can nullify devil fruit powers. Law not being a conqueror leads me to believe he can't counter Kid's awakened fruit. So, Kid throughout the whole story only loses to Yonkos, while Law lost to some weaklings like Dofi and Hawkins, and Kid's devil fruit counters Law. Also, Law is yet to win a 1v1 against a named character. And I'm gonna end things there. I hope that proves my point. Thank you guys for watching.